There is a space where you are all you need, where you are all you want. All there is here. Welcome to the Source Connection, conversations about who we truly are, the possibilities of creation, and the new earth we are birthing. With your hosts, Tarah Long and Liz B.
Hi, welcome to the Source Connection. I am Liz B with your host, Tarah Long, my host as well. She's mine.
Mine.
We're excited to have you here one more time, co-creating this space with us. The universes through the multiverses and all the things that we are made out of that we don't even know yet. Confined in these bodies and really putting a lot of effort into being in this energetic field that's so dense and diversely populated. Let's just take a moment to tune in with a space, with ourselves in the space. If it's available to you, close your eyes. Find a comfortable place, just sit or lay down. Just start deepening the breath. Activating all chambers of the lungs, really bringing that air in, expanding, letting it out, dropping. With your eyes closed, bring your attention to the top of your head and imagine there is a ball of golden light. Just make it whatever you want, however you want it to be. Tune into what it feels like. Notice how it interacts with you. And imagine it becoming so big, so strong, so bright that it starts to encompass everything. Everything starts to get blurry, almost like you're looking at the sun. What's left? On your next inhale, inhale even deeper than before and suspend the breath for as long as you can. Just hold it all in. Feel this frequency, this warmth, the brightness. Exhale completely. Hold the breath out. Just pause. Inhale. And sigh it out. Here we are again.
Thank you, Liz. That was great.
I have an experience that I had a couple of days ago that I'd like to share.
Yeah.
I did a breath work session with my soul sister, Rhoda. It was a guided private breath work session. And for the first time, it got to a point where there had been a lot of release and I just didn't need to breathe anymore. My breath stopped and I was so comfortable and it was so full.
Mm-hmm.
And it was such an interesting experience. And it seemed to me like a long time. And she did affirm that to me. I did feel like a long time. But it was so perfect and so content. And I don't remember ever experiencing that before. And because I practice a lot of breath work and I teach breath work and all of that, it was really interesting to experience the lack of need of breath. There was no breath.
No breath
at that moment. And it was so full and incredible.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
We can actually go quite a long time without breathing when trained to do so. That reminds me of talked about before the Wim Hof method, and I don't remember how long, but that is doing that method is when I have held my breath the longest. That's different because it was holding a breath, but it felt similar in that there was no need to take a breath.
Yeah.
Sounds like yours was a little more, you weren't consciously going, okay, hold my breath. You just suddenly didn't need to breathe.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It was a first.
Next level, baby. Next level.
I was like, wow. And it didn't hit me until into it a little bit. Like, oh, I haven't taken a breath and it's perfect. It's perfect.
Perfect. This reminds me how unfathomably amazing these vessels are, our bodies are. Just how, what they're capable of, and you hear of, I don't know what the world record is for holding breath, but it's a long time. It's just, that's one of many, many things, but yeah.
Can you imagine the things that we are capable of that we haven't even tapped into yet, right? Because allow for the concept of it to even be true?
Yeah, absolutely. Just the idea hasn't even, we don't even believe it collectively.
Yeah.
Right? Like right. We have so many superpowers inside of us that we don't need the body for in many instances, but the body can reflect that. And I do believe that is part of what's coming online for everybody. And
Mm.
the new earth is, we're going to be discovering a lot more within us that we had no idea was possible. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so exciting.
I know. Like, what?
To just, like, and also you mentioned like collective, on the collective level. And I just want to reiterate that it all starts on the individual level. So then we can shift the frequency of the collective. So do not wait for the collective.
No. Don't wait for the collective.
Agreement with that. I'm just reminding everyone, like,
Thank
there's
you.
to wait for no collective of anything. It's just right now, what are the limiting beliefs that you are shattering, that you are decided to break, that you are committing yourself to upgrading from, upgrade from.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that feels aligned for you. I mean, I'm not saying like go out and make yourself do something physical that you don't want to do. It's just if it excites you and you're like, yeah, I want to do that, or that's so cool, or whatever, whether it's physical or in any other way. It's all available. It's all available if you want it. If you want it, there's something inside of you that is capable of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've been playing with that myself, with pushing my physical body to things. And it was not even like a decision, like I'm going to push my physical body, but I've noticed that more and more I'm choosing to do things that push the limit of what I thought was possible with my physical body. And it's been a really exciting exploration, feeling parts of my body ache in ways I felt before. And I'm like, oh, that's there. Oh, okay. Now I can't bend because those things haven't been worked in a long time. And mind you, I exercise and do yoga every day, but it's just next level of what's capable for me, for my own physical body. And I think it does reflect on other bodies as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Yeah, it's such a tool. Our body is such a tool of reflection. It's almost like the body arranges itself around your beingness first. There's beingness, and then the body arranges itself around that. So, yeah, I've had quite the journey, which I think I've probably mentioned before here, with the body and health and what health is, and basically just was a pretty sick kid, and pretty sick, and in my teens and 20s, sick as in what that was labeled as at that time. So such a journey. I'm just so grateful for my body, just for being here and like functioning so beautifully now, in so many ways, and learning that I don't have to focus on it in order for it to do that.
Yes. How much we take for granted that we are capable of. Absolutely. Yeah. And also, I feel like once you know a state of health, it's really hard to allow yourself to go back to anything that's not of that level, And a lot of people, I think, haven't experienced really what a health state of being is: mental, physical, emotional, spiritual.
Yeah, all of it.
Yeah. And just coming home to that space where you really harness that and you know what that feels like, to then have it as a point of reference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's different levels for everybody, and what we're here for, and all that good stuff, all that jazz. Such a huge conversation, the body, which brings me to we've been hearing a lot. I know both of us have during this time on this planet. I get asked, what do you do for like detoxing? What are you doing? What do you, And first and foremost, I know you and I, both of us, were like, find your frequency first, right? That is the first thing to do, to be. You don't have to do much for that. Is mind that, which we talk about all the time here, which is connecting to your source. And then, but this question still arises, okay, but then what? Which is totally fine. I get it. The mind wants to have like these very tangible physical things, even if it's just totally permission slips.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's okay. Because I know we both have things that we do to keep our body well and detoxing, if you will, at this time. So I thought maybe we could share some of those things.
Yeah.
That seems to be a popular question. We don't talk a lot about super tangible things here, but
yeah. I'd love to start with I shake my body. A lot of times I feel like I'm out of tune or out of step with what's going on outside and the pressure that I, either feel internally to match that or even from the happenings that are just layering upon us. I like shaking my body, and it literally can be a shake of the body.
Yeah,
just
like
shake
it out. Yeah.
Oh, simple. I also like to run and move the energy. I feel like sometimes we'll lodge things in our bodies in certain spaces. And I feel like for me, running, just literally running to move it in whatever way it needs to be redistributed, a lot of times helps and does the trick of just, I feel a little different now, Those are very simple things that do not require any additional supplementation or anything the outside in. If we want to talk about that, I've personally been taking a supplement called G-Cell, which has a lot of other great things in it, and it does help with detoxification. And we can post maybe just the name of it on the description and the brand. We'll write it down here so we don't.
Yeah, I got it too.
There is a brand of homeopathy that I am a big fan of called Energetics. And I think that, again, as a permission slip, as maybe a placebo effect, I think that we are here to experience all of that as needed, right? So
sure, yeah, absolutely.
And the one that I have recently adopted that I am excited to share, it's sodium borax. There's no food grade label in the United States, but you can find there are I think at least one company that handles it as food, and they're called Prescribed for Life. And so you can find that there, and it's very minimal. You take a few pinches during the day, and that also helps with detoxing. And so those would be my. And then if we want to get more detailed, breath work, oh my God, conscious breath is, I think that, again, with things that we don't need anything outside of ourselves. And take a beautiful shower and imagine the water. There's so many little things, right? We could go on and talk about it.
Yeah.
And I want to hear what you have to say too, but yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Nice. Thank you for that. Yeah, we'll add this stuff to the notes to everyone, so you can look at the names of the things that we're talking about. Yeah, to your point about moving, dancing. I love to put on music and just have a dance party for one with the dog. She's always like, what are you doing? So yeah, dancing, singing. I love singing, to just like let it out or recalibrate and just connect. It's such a way to just immediately connect. Yoga is also yoga and stretching. I know that's for both of us something that Yeah, that I do often. And then, yeah, I mean, we could get so detailed into permission slips and supplements and things like that. There's so many different things that you can use in your body to help with detoxing. I do a lot of green juice, in the morning. And cilantro, of course, is really good to add to that, but just really
Yes.
good fresh greens. And I do have some supplements, that I take just depending on what I feel. I think we were talking about before, I don't like taking anything forever or thinking that, oh, you have to do this. It's like, okay, just listen to my body, even with
Yeah.
supplements or whatever. What does this feel good? Is this still something that I want or that I need? Yeah, and right now I'm doing zinc and vitamin D, daily. That feels good right now to do.
Mm-hmm.
And is it chlorophyll? Yeah, like liquid chlorophyll powder. Yeah, that feels good.
I'm grateful that you mentioned that because I test myself every day before I take stuff. And people will say, well, how do you test yourself? Well, you just get in contact with your own, again, the source connection, with your own. That's a subliminal message, source connection.
Source connection.
You, you know, go within and just, it's so simple, guys.
Yeah,
It's
so simple. Simple.
oh, we keep saying this,
Yeah,
but
it's true.
I can't stress it enough.
Yeah.
You can just literally go within and ask your body, do I need this today? How many drops? Okay,
Yeah.
not I need anything else. Yes. Is this it? Is it? And just go from there,
Mm-hmm.
right? I'd like to add one thing that has been really good for us in general, and it's chiropractic visits to really get that physical body into an alignment of sorts from time to time. And like you, I do dance too. It's one of my favorite things.
What did you say?
Dancing.
Oh, dancing. Oh, yeah.
And my friend found a class at the park 4 times a week where we do Zumba. And my God, I used to do it many, many years ago and I hadn't done it, in a while.
Yeah. That's nice. Yeah. I've never done Zumba myself, but I've seen it in action.
It's just dancing.
It's just dancing. I know, but it looks like fun. So yeah, I think it's really relevant point that, again, it's coming back to your inner authority. So you can it's great to, maybe a practitioner who might have more familiarity with these supplements or whatnot and say, have a recommendation for you. And then you can still say, is this, and listening to your body. And like Liz said, it's so simple. You just ask and you'll know the answer. And if you're like, well, what does that mean? How do I even start with that? Just pay attention to, is your body expanding or contracting? Just subtly. Like, how does it feel when you ask that question? Like, what is happening? And there's so many different ways to be pointed to that within yourself, but you'll get it. Just start. Just like start with one day with one thing. Start with food even.
Yes.
And then just feel, and eventually you don't, necessarily, like for me, you don't have to ask myself. I just know intuitively. It's a yes or a no.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's because I used to teach that when I was an acupuncturist to my patients with supplements, and they at first would look at me like I had like 18 heads, They're like, what do you mean? Like, just tell me what to do. And I'm like, no, that is not the point of any of you. Didn't come to me for me to tell you what to do. I mean, you did, but you didn't.
Yes.
Something inside of you wanted to be completely empowered, and that's why you came to me.
Yeah.
That's why we found each other. So that was really beautiful for people to go through that process of unraveling that for themselves. Like, oh, I have that much power. Like, I know what my body wants, and yes.
Let's break it down here really simply. Give yourself the authority.
Mm.
give yourself the authority. Just give yourself the authority.
Yeah.
Allow for that to sink in and exercise that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll give you a quick tip on that if you ask your body, because you can actually guide your body and say, okay, if I do this, it means yes or no, if you want, to
Mm-hmm.
the mind participate in the process. So what I do is if my body, leans forward is a yes. If it leans back is a no. So that's how I started, just, creating this communication pathways. And like you now, it's very clear to me. I don't need to do that. Now, if I am entrapped in other things, I can always use that to just be like, really, it'll just, I'm not really feeling super connected right now. So I'll just do it in a practical way. So it could be anything that you want. So what is it? And it's, getting clearer on that.
Because you can make it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can just train your body or whatever to give you whatever you want. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And again, coming back to self-sourcing,
Yeah.
With the giving yourself the authority. Just really, and it comes with responsibilities,
Yep.
Take all of that in and exercise that and empower yourself through that and become a gift to others, because then you'll be able to model to others what that looks like. And who doesn't want to live in a world with empowered people who don't feel the need to tell anybody what to do, because they trust everybody in their own connections? Yeah, I think that's the earth that I'm excited to see unfold.
Absolutely. I mean, and what if right now you could never ask anybody anything ever again and you had to just know for yourself? What would that feel like?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What does that bring up in you? And that's where the gold is, right? That's where the stuff is, where you still have these threads of attachment to like, oh, but they'll know more than I do. And of course, in certain skill sets, this is true. I have no desire to become a mechanic. So I'm absolutely going to take my car to a mechanic. There's no doubt about that. We're not talking about these practical things, right? I'm not talking about these practical things.
Right.
But in terms of you and what's right for you.
Yes. When it comes to your own bodies, your own health, your own predicament, your own choices, your own, ways of living, like there's nobody who's a better expert at you than yourself.
No.
And just really know that, and just, it's good.
It is good, isn't it?
When you finally like come to that place in yourself, there's not even like, there's so many things that get dropped. And then you become your own explorer. You become your own, book to discover and to read and all of that. And it all becomes your own thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I'm writing down some of the words that you said for our, I like that you become your own explorer.
Yeah.
So what was I going to say? Yeah, it's this idea of we're such a society, at least Western culture and America specifically, where we're constantly asking questions. It's like this, how did you just, and I hear that from other cultures too, that Americans just ask so many questions. And so what if you couldn't not only ask those questions, but know how do I do this? Because if you're asking how, and this is something I learned from very, very well from one of my mentors years ago, Anurag, and Bentinho too. But if you're asking how, it means you don't really want it. Because if you really want it, then this is a little bit off topic, but if you really want it, then you'll know, you'll figure it out, you'll do something. But how do I, for example, how do I meditate? I get a super beginner might need some pointers, and that's beautiful, and that's genuine willingness and curiosity.
Yeah.
But just pay attention if you're asking constantly, using that as a distraction to not actually take the responsibility, like Liz is saying. you know, and yeah, a world filled with people who aren't even asking questions, who just know, and they're just shining. And I became a person, that sounds like, you know, I became a person. Actually, no, I'm not a person. No, that's a whole other topic.
Give away where we came from. Not on this.
Don't give it away. Just kidding. It's no secret.
I became a person.
So in 1978, no. No, but I just noticed in myself that whenever I'm asking a question, whenever I'm asking a question in my mind, like, oh, I'm asking a question about something, I'm always turning it inward and finding that answer for myself. Again, not if it's something about a practical thing, but about, you know, and so it's been a while now where I actually don't seek out or ask questions of, and it's not because, oh, I'm so arrogant, I know everything, but it's when it comes to me, I no longer have that desire or need. It's not necessary. So what would that feel like? You know, it's the same thread of what we're talking about, but what would that feel like to not even need to ask the question at all?
Yeah, what would that feel like?
Mm.
Maybe next time we want to ask somebody about, should I do this, or, you know, how am I going to let this person go, or whatever thing that it is that is about your own life or own lives. Maybe let's try to just again go inward and see where things are leading us.
Mm.
Where is it pointing towards? What is your inner landscape? What does it look like? What is the painting? What is the the landscape? Yeah, it's the best word.
I like that.
Then to not get that confused with the curiosity of life itself. I'm a very curious person and I love asking questions. I love asking questions about things that are not immediately directed or in my experience directly. So I get a kick of learning and my drive for my own expansion. Now, with everything, there's all kinds of information, right? And we're going to find what we're looking for. And so it's and filtering all that to what really resonates deeply and internally. And like, it's almost like you knew once you hear it, you're like, yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I was listening to an amazing woman speak of temples few weekends ago, and she was talking about the temple vortexes and the entryways and how it has layers and levels. So there's many doors and the way the structures are built and the central points and just, so much detail to it, right? And everything that she was saying, as I was hearing it, it was that filter that it's like through the mind, and then it dropped into my body, and I was like, yeah. Yeah. It's not like something that you're not aware of. You have not been exposed to it before that time. But then when you hear it, it's like there's an activation that happens that you go, yes, I know that, because it just resonates deeply.
Remembrance.
Remembrance. Yes. And I think that we're moving to more and more of that realization. We know it's all in here. And just let yourself be guided to realize all these things. Let this wisdom come through you. your actions, your words, your deeds, your touch, your presence. Just be available for it at every moment.
Yeah. And it can be, scary. And that's oftentimes why we do ask other people about our personal things, right? Is because it can be scary to explore those feelings or whatever is there. Yeah. And oftentimes we might actually we do know the answer. We might just be afraid of what that is. And of course, this isn't to say don't seek guidance or anything like that. That's not my intention in saying I'm not saying don't ever ask a question again or else you're a total dumbass. That's not at all what I'm saying. Because sometimes we need to go through that, right? And it's finding those guides to help us explore. And that can be very, very valuable as well. So I just want to say that. But it's okay if it's a little scary or you're not quite sure where to start or how to do it, because you'll figure it out.
Yeah, start with little things, with small decisions that are not life-threatening.
Right.
It's when you have the drive to not eat that breakfast and, just skip breakfast, whatever, but you're so used and you're like, well, but then I'm going to be hungry. No, just follow that. Like, okay, I'm going to skip breakfast today and see where that leads. And the more you practice that, the stronger and clearer that voice and that inner knowing becomes, to where there is not really doubt at some point.
Yeah, that's
we talked before, but it's little things like I'm, coming home and then I'm like, I want to take the alleyway. And then I hear clearly don't. But then I go and there's a garbage truck that just delayed my trip. I'm like, oh, okay, well, okay, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Not life-threatening, but,
Right. But annoying, and it could have been avoided if you just listened.
Like, oh, okay, well, just, and so find opportunities to practice it with just feel less monumental.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Or just go for it and do the really big
happens. Yeah. Because you know what? I don't know if I've said this before, but on this podcast, but you cannot screw it up. Whatever you do, you can't screw it up. Meaning your life, meaning whatever, you cannot screw it up. Because that will lead you to the next thing. There's no wrong. It's just going to lead you to the next thing, the next learning or opportunity. And it's, like Liz was saying, it's letting that inner knowingness override the mind. So when you're in a decision-making process, well, is it my mind that's saying to do this because of past experience and what I think I know about it? Or am I in the moment feeling into my body or my being, or whatever you want to call it, my heart? Am I feeling into that, or is it just default mode? Because how often are we in default mode, and we forget, oh, right, I can actually choose something different. Yeah.
As far as my own experience, when I think about the mind and its abilities, a lot of times it's a point of reference and a collector of archives. And so when I am faced with certain decisions, it'll trace back and go to the files of what has already happened and go, okay, that's not going to work. And so it's so limited in that way. And I don't remember who said that, but it said the mind is what was it said? The mind, it's an awful master and a beautiful something that I can't remember now, but it's really just, I feel like readjusting the priorities of how we've been trained to operate. Yeah. And I like to talk about the connection between the gut mind, the heart mind, and the brain mind, right? Of these three centers that we have, that when we finally allow to be integrated, decisions and solutions come from a different space that are unlimited, that are not bound by physical experience. And so I think that we broaden our capacities in general.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like tapping into that magic that we're always talking about.
Yeah.
that field. I'd like to, since we're talking about mind and thoughts, I came across this Ramana Maharishi quote that just is beautiful that I will read.
Yeah.
And the questioner asks asks this question: what is non-attachment? Ramana Maharishi responds, as thoughts arise, destroying them utterly without any residue in the very place of their origin is non-attachment.
Wow, let's say that again. Yeah.
Yeah. So the question is, what is non-attachment? The answer: as thoughts arise, destroying them utterly without any residue in the very place of their origin is non-attachment.
Wow.
It's a beautiful reminder that we can choose at any moment to, it's not to say that the mind or the thoughts are bad or wrong or anything like that, but we can choose in a moment to let them just vaporize. Because our thoughts typically cause us a lot of suffering. You know, and then if you try to go to the root of a thought, just try it just once. Just try. Where does it come from? See what happens.
Yeah.
In my experience, there's nothing there. Literally, zilch, zip, zero, nada.
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 Wow. And it becomes a lifelong commitment because it asks us to drop the stories, the thoughts, the ideas, the preconceived notions, the prejudice, the things that we think that we might know about ourselves, somebody else, and just everything at every moment. And it's quite the adventure.
Yeah, isn't it though? I'm so happy to be on this adventure with you.
Yes. Wise.
And all of you listening out there.
Yes.
I'm happy to be on this adventure. We are so happy that you have joined us for this time. We really appreciate your presence and your energy and your intention and will to level up, upgrade yourself in this world at this time. It's really special.
So I'll leave the invitation to share with everybody what are the practices and the things that you do to clear up and to more of yourself. If you're watching on the video platforms, you can comment there. If not, you're always welcome to drop us a line at the sourceconnection@protonmail.com.
Yeah.
And just,
Yeah, connect with us. And we'd love questions as well, because we are going to be starting a Patreon as well. Just going to drop that here. Probably by the time this episode is up, it'll be up. And we're going to have some fun things over there, and would love to be doing some Q&As and things like that. So, and just, you know, we can even answer questions on this format as well. We'll see how it unfolds, but
yes,
we're very happy for questions and feedback.
Yes.
Yeah.
Share away.
Share away. Thanks, everyone. Much love.
Much love.